The Pittsburgh Steelers continue to explore every possible avenue to stabilize the quarterback position, and according to a new report from ESPN's Adam Schefter, the possibility of acquiring veteran quarterback Kirk Cousins from the Atlanta Falcons remains very much on the table. While the idea of Cousins being traded has been mostly speculative throughout the offseason, it now appears to be a plausible option, albeit one that hinges on complex financial details and post-draft circumstances. Cousins, who signed a massive 4-year, $180 million contract with the Falcons earlier this year, holds a full no-trade clause, meaning he has final say on any potential move. According to Schefter, Cousins has made it clear to people around him that he would be open to a trade under the right circumstances, specifically, a situation where he would be the unquestioned starter for a competitive team. For Pittsburgh, whose quarterback room currently consists of Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson, this could represent an opportunity to secure a high-floor veteran presence while continuing to evaluate long-term quarterback options through the draft or development. As it stands, the Falcons have publicly downplayed the idea of moving on from Cousins, but behind the scenes, the reality appears to be more nuanced. Publicly, the Falcons have said they're not interested in trading quarterback Kirk Cousins, Schefter wrote. But they'd entertain offers if the right deal was on the table. That right deal, however, includes a major financial hurdle. Atlanta has reportedly told teams that any club acquiring Cousins must be willing to absorb at least $20 million of the remaining $45 million in guaranteed salary tied to his deal. To date, no team has accepted those terms, and it's widely believed around the league that no team is likely to, at least not without changes to the structure of the trade. However, Schefter noted that the picture could shift significantly following the conclusion of the 2025 NFL Draft. What happens this weekend, and which franchises come out of the draft with or without rookie quarterbacks, could influence how much guaranteed money a team might be willing to absorb on Cousins' contract, he added. Cousins, 35, is coming off a season that was both statistically uneven and physically demanding. After suffering a torn Achilles in 2023 while still with the Minnesota Vikings, Cousins signed with the Falcons in the hopes of spearheading a fresh start for a franchise that has lacked quarterback stability since the decline of Matt Ryan. However, things did not go according to plan. In his 14 starts for Atlanta in 2024, Cousins passed for 3,508 yards and 18 touchdowns, but he also threw a league-leading 16 interceptions, raising questions about both his physical recovery and his decision-making. Despite those concerns, Cousins remains a respected and battle-tested quarterback with a decade of starting experience in the league. He's made 4 Pro Bowls, has multiple 4,000-yard passing seasons under his belt, and is known for his intelligence, preparation, and leadership. In the right situation, many believe Cousins can still deliver top 15 quarterback play, which makes him an attractive short-term solution for a team like Pittsburgh that remains in a quarterback limbo of sorts. For the Steelers, this potential move reflects the complicated nature of their quarterback situation post-Ben Roethlisberger. The team has tried various approaches, drafting Kenny Pickett, trading for Russell Wilson, taking a flyer on Justin Fields, but none have panned out in the way fans or coaches had hoped. The result is a quarterback room lacking in proven, high-level talent and no clear roadmap toward long-term stability. The 2025 NFL Draft is expected to offer some potential answers, with several quarterbacks projected to go in the first 2 rounds. The Steelers could look to move up for someone like Shedeur Sanders, Jalen Milroe, or even take a mid-round flyer on a player like Will Howard. However, if Pittsburgh comes out of the draft without a blue-chip quarterback prospect, the urgency to make a move for someone like Cousins will only increase. One of the more fascinating wrinkles to this story is the potential cost, not just in terms of draft compensation, but in salary cap management. There is a feeling around the league that a team, whether it is the Vikings or Steelers, might be willing to pay down roughly $10 million, Schefter noted. That financial commitment could dramatically impact the draft capital required to make the trade happen. If Pittsburgh agrees to cover a larger portion of the salary, the compensation package going to Atlanta could be smaller, perhaps a late second-round or early third-round pick. Conversely, if the Steelers insist that Atlanta absorb most of the money, the Falcons may demand a higher return. This sliding scale of value has made trade talks difficult to finalize and is likely why the Falcons have so far held firm on their asking price. However, with the draft looming, front offices are under pressure to make decisions quickly. Teams that miss out on their top quarterback targets may be forced to circle back on Cousins as a contingency plan, which could reignite discussions and create a sense of urgency to get a deal done. From Pittsburgh's perspective, there are arguments both for and against making such a move. On the one hand, acquiring Cousins would bring stability, professionalism, and the ability to win games now. He would immediately upgrade the quarterback room, allow the Steelers to better utilize weapons like George Pickens and DK Metcalf, and give offensive coordinator Arthur Smith a reliable option to run his system effectively. On the other hand, Cousins is not a long-term answer, and allocating significant cap space and draft capital to secure him might delay the inevitable need to find a franchise quarterback for the future. Moreover, there are legitimate concerns about Cousins' age and health. Achilles injuries are notoriously difficult to return from, especially for older players. While Cousins showed flashes of competence in 2024, he never fully resembled the quarterback he once was in Minnesota. Decision-making issues, mobility limitations, and inconsistency all crept into his game at various points last season, and it's unclear whether those issues are a product of rust or a sign of permanent decline. Even so, the risk may be worth it for a Steelers team that believes it's closer to contention than not. The defense remains elite, with T.J. Watt anchoring a ferocious pass rush and Minkah Fitzpatrick patrolling the secondary. The offensive line has improved, the running game is competent, and the receiving core is as dynamic as it's been in years. With the right quarterback, this team could compete for the AFC North title and make a legitimate playoff push. Cousins wouldn't need to be elite to succeed in Pittsburgh, just steady. His game has always been predicated on precision, timing, and operating within the structure of the offense. Those traits align well with Arthur Smith's preferred style, which emphasizes play action, intermediate passing concepts, and careful game management. If Cousins is healthy and protected, there's every reason to believe he could return to form and deliver solid quarterback play in 2025. Still, the financials loom large. Pittsburgh would need to work carefully to structure a deal that makes sense both short and long term. The team is projected to have around $28 million in cap space post-draft, which gives them some flexibility, but eating $20 million in guaranteed money for a 35-year-old quarterback is no small decision. It would likely require restructuring other deals, potentially moving money into future years, and ensuring that Cousins' arrival doesn't prevent the team from extending other key players down the line. And then there's Cousins himself. With a full no-trade clause, he holds all the leverage. If he doesn't want to go to Pittsburgh, or if he feels the situation isn't the right fit, he can simply veto the move. That means the Steelers would not only need to agree to terms with the Falcons but also convince Cousins that Pittsburgh is where he wants to spend the next phase of his career. It's a delicate dance, one with many moving parts and no guaranteed outcome. But as the draft nears and quarterback chairs around the league begin to fill, Pittsburgh may find itself with fewer and fewer options. If they emerge from the draft without a clear plan at quarterback, expect trade talks to intensify quickly. Whether or not Cousins ends up in the black and gold remains to be seen. But the fact that the Steelers are still in the conversation is telling. They know the status quo isn't good enough. And as they continue to search for answers at the game's most important position, the window to make a bold move may be closing fast.